Welcome to my tutorial 11B. It's titled UFO Invasion Game Part 3. It's a follow-up to 11 and 11A. We'll start by opening the tutorial from where we left off, and this should look familiar to you. Open our actions panel. Let's get rid of them traces. Don't need those anymore. This the hit one. I don't need this anymore. Delete that. And delete this one that tells me the ship's names. We don't need that anymore. It's very easy to make the beam track. We go up to where the buttons are pushed, right here, when it's going left, right after this laser MC line. Insert this text. The beam movie clip, capital B underscore MC, its period underscore X, its x-axis will follow the laser axis. And down here, it's the same thing for the going the other way. Paste it. You don't have this S problem because I'm cutting and pasting. Now, if we tested it, and we will, it moves with it. Very good. We now want to be able to test when that beam hits the ships. So go down to this initial ships S on enter frame function line and type this. Type. It's another test. The format we know. And this test is testing to see if the spaceship coming saucer that's being made at the time, if that one is hit by the beam, we'll trace the word hit and we'll unload the movie clip, and what we should see is the spaceships disappear as we hit them. That did not work very well. The code looks good. On frame 1 we have the beam layer. We hit the beam on there. We'll select it. We have an instance name. Let's check the beam itself. I think the problem is in here. I think we need to make this a button, this actual object. So select the third layer of the beam, select the third frame of the beam layer, highlight all them frames, right click and remove them. Select that second frame, come down here and say no tween, none. Grab your selection tool, make sure this is completely highlighted if it's not. Let's select that frame, highlight it, go up here to modify, convert it to a symbol, a button, and we'll call it light, L-I-G-H-T underscore BTN. It's now a button. Okay. Insert the keyframe here at the end of that line. Make sure that the whole button is selected. Come down here, grab this light, copy it, paste it here as an instance name, and down here leave the minus sign and put 600. Enter. I think go back to frame 2, clicked it, and we should be able to do a motion, and I should have noticed that before, that we had trouble getting that tween. Go back to scene 1. I think we're in a position now to test it again. And here comes the saucers, and we can shoot them. And our hit is working. So you can see the game forming now. Pretty good. Let's get rid of this hit instruction. And let's format this in place. We need to count the ships as we hit them. So we're going to need a variable to take care of that. So up here in our variables and introduce another one. It's called ships S hit. It's a number equal to 3 because there's 3 ships. We want to count them as we hit them. And I'm going to copy this ships hit. Right click, copy it. Go down to where we're hitting the ship. Right here is where the beam hits the ship. Yep. And put a line in here. And it's going to say the ship's hit equals, paste it again, ship's hit minus 1. So every time we hit a ship, we're going to subtract 1 from that count. So therefore we got to keep track of that count somewhere. Down here in our initializing area again, down here, right down here, a good spot to put it is right below when you actually, the beam actually hits the ship. So click here and put in another test, and this test says if and when the ship's hit, that count is less than 1, that means in our case it'll be 0 after you hit 3 ships. We want something to take place. So there's my open and close curly brackets. So for now, let's just trace something. Trace, and it's good when you get this much code to check out each time, because you don't want to get several things done and then have an error. And we're going to write hit saucer. I don't think we have any other hits at this time. I think we've erased them all. Let's auto format. Means there's no major areas that it can find. Let's test this out. When we hit the 3 saucers, it should say hit saucers. 1, 2, I got it. Hit saucers. So this is working. Now I think we should count the ships that we hit the land. So back up to the variables, insert another variable, var capital LIM capital CNT limit count colon, it's a number and it's equal to 3. That's the number of ships we're going to be counting. We're going to copy this variable name, and down here where we hit the land, this is where it hits the land, we're going to insert a line that says if this land is hit by a spaceship, we're going to an equal sign and just pasting this in is going to be that again minus 1, so we can keep track of every time one of these ships hit the land. We want to be able to keep track of the ships, the full amount. So if they hit the land, we want to keep track with them, but we also want to keep track of them for this purpose here, for then ending the game when they all land. We're going to have to go back up here and count them also when the beam is hitting them to keep track. There's other ways of doing it, but that's the way I prefer to do it. So we're going to copy this line and paste it right in here. So now I'm keeping tracks of both the ones that are hit by the beam as well as those that hit the land. the game is made so that when one saucer hits the land, the game is over. So let's go down to this test where we're testing that a saucer has hit the land, and insert a line that will say the game is over. And we're going to make a movie clip called lose, capital LOSE underscore MC, and we're going to go to that movie clip and tell us that we've lost the game. We're going to do this by making a new movie clip called lose. I think by now we can make a movie clip, so I'm going to put one in that I've made up and go through it with you. We'll start by making a first layer called action script. That's your first layer you want to make. Call it action script. And in that script, you want to have a stop. I'm sure you can do that, no problem. Then you will insert a keyframe. That brings that stop over. Another keyframe that brings that stop over. So that's your action script for this particular layer. I have a lose layer and a buttons layer, and as you can see on frame 1, there's nothing in either of these because they're not highlighted with this dark color. You're going to select frame 2 of the lose layer. It's unlocked, and using your text tool, you're going to type this information in. Then you're going to insert a blank keyframe in frame 3 of lose. Insert a blank keyframe. There we are. Again, with your text tool, you're going to type in this. Game is over, aliens have landed. Small explanation. This is when one of the aliens has hit the land, and we're going to wait for the invasion to be over so that they all hit. Once they've all hit, we're going to be directed to come to here, and that's when the aliens have all landed on the ground. At this point in time, select the third frame of the buttons layer. Make sure everything else is locked. All the other layers are locked. Insert a blank keyframe and build yourself a button. There's my button. If I look at it up close, if I can find it, there it is. All it says is play again. You're going to make that a button using your modify, or however you make a button. By now you should be able to make a button. And this time we're going to put the code on the button. So if I press that button, there it is, again button. I'm calling it the again button, and I'm opening the action script for this button, and in here you're going to type this. On release, that means when we press this button, with bracket underscore parent, that means go back to the frame 1, find this variable and set it back to 3, because by now the ships have hit and it's not 3 anymore. We're doing that with the ships hit, we're doing that with the limit count, and we're doing that with the many ships back to their original values that we declared them at. 3 here, 3 here, 1 here, and also on your own movie clip, go back and stop on frame 1. So when it's here, it's going to put those variables back to date and go back and stop and sit right here. I think that's understandable. We've made a movie clip. Let's go back to scene 1. Let's find a spot for it. We'll put it right above the beams layer. called lose. Make sure all the layers are locked except the lose layer. Select that initial frame. Bring this movie clip lose onto the stage. Center it. Give it an instance name. Copy. Paste it in. So anytime one of the ships hit the ground, we go to that first movie clip that says the game is over, the touchdown. When all the saucers have landed, we gotta do this part yet. We haven't coded this part yet, but that much works. We need another test now. Go down here at the very end of this where we have the test that hits the land, and we're going to put this code in. This code says when the limit count is less than 1, go to the movie clip lose MC and stop at frame 3. This limit count would be less than 1 when the number of ships that hit the land plus the number that were hit brings us down to 0. Let's test this out. Here come the ships. I'll shoot none of them. And we go right back to the game is over. Even if I shoot 1 or 2 of them, it'll still take us to that final game over. Alright. Let's go to the point of where all the ships are hit, which we test here. We can get rid of this trace now and paste in this line of script. If this says if all the ships are hit, go to a movie clip called win. We need to make that win movie clip now. Here's our win movie clip. I'll go through this with you. I have a layer called win, and on that layer there's physically nothing except there's an action script that says stop. There's a second frame on the action script that says stop, so that's taken care of. There is nothing other than the stop on the first frame, so let's look at the win on the second frame. Insert a blank keyframe, and on this frame there should be some text, and it simply says game's over, aliens defeated. And on this buttons layer is the exact same button that you made on the lose movie clip. So you could just go there, copy it and paste it, whichever you wish, however format you use. By now you should have one, and it has the exact same code. We have the movie clip. We got to put it on frame on scene 1. Go back to scene 1. Select the beams layer again. Insert a layer. Call it win. Lock all layers except the win layer. Select that first frame. Drag the win movie clip in. Center it to the stage. Copy the instance name that you're going to use. Paste it in. To test this movie out, I'm going to go back to my ships movie clip. And I'm going to make it even slower. Try it out. Test movie. I should have a chance now getting them. There's 1. There's 2. There's 3. And I have 2 things on the screen at once, and I gotta find out why. The problem is with this line. So let's take this line and change it. We're going to use the AND function. So now it says if all the ships accounted for have been hit or hit the land, go to 3. That's the movie. We'll hit just one of them. That allows us to start over. Hit all of them. That allows us to start over. And if we hit none of them, this allows us to start over. The reason being, we haven't hit any ships, and this count is going to be greater than 1. There will have to be one more tutorial. It'll be titled UFO Invasion Part 4. And we got a few more scripts to write, and then we got some graphics. Make sure you save this FLA file, because we're going to start from where we left off again.